The winding roads of the Blackwood Forest in Maine have always been a place where GPS signals die, and logic just fades into the mist. It was nearly midnight when Elias found himself driving his vintage sedan through the thick, suffocating fog. The tall pines leaned over the asphalt like jagged teeth, completely blotting out the moon. He was so tired, his eyes burning from hours of staring at the white lines on the road, but he couldn't shake the creepy feeling that the forest itself was watching him. Suddenly, his headlights caught a flash of movement. A figure was standing perfectly still on the shoulder of the road. It was a man wearing an old, oil-stained mechanic's jumpsuit. His head was bowed, and he was holding a rusted wrench in one hand. Elias, thinking it was just a stranded driver, slowed his car down, but as he rolled to a stop, the man didn't look up. He didn't ask for help. He simply pointed his wrench toward a narrow, unpaved trail that branched off into the pitch-black darkness. Elias rolled down his window to speak, but the air that rushed in was unnaturally cold, carrying a strange smell of wet earth and copper. Before he could even get a word out, the man vanished. He didn't run. He didn't just step away. He simply dissolved into the gray fog as if he were made of smoke. Pure panic flared in Elias's chest. He slammed the car into gear and sped away, his heart hammering against his ribs, trying to outrun whatever that was. About 5 miles down the road, his car's engine began to sputter. The dashboard lights flickered and then died completely. The heater, which had been blasting warm air just moments before, suddenly began blowing a freezing, rhythmic wind. It sounded like a heavy, labored breath. Elias pulled over to the side of the road, the crushing silence of the woods pressing in on him from all sides. He tried to turn the key, but the ignition remained stubbornly dead. And that's when he heard it, a soft, metallic tapping on the rear bumper. Tap. 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 Elias rose. He glanced into his rearview mirror. At first, there was nothing but the darkness of the backseat. But then, slowly, a face began to materialize in the reflection. It was the mechanic. Only now, his skin was a bruised, sickly purple, and his eyes were completely missing, replaced by hollow black pits that leaked a thick, dark fluid. The mechanic's jaw unhinged, dropping impossibly low, and he whispered a single sentence that echoed through the car's speakers. Even though the radio was off, you're running on empty. Elias. Terrified, Elias scrambled for the door handle, but it wouldn't budge. It was locked tight. The windows began to fog up from the outside, but this fog was different. It was forming words. Woo, ooh, ooh, ooh-s. The car began to rock gently, as if giant hands were lifting it from the back. Looking out the side window, Elias saw dozens of pale, translucent figures emerging from between the trees. They were the passengers of the forest's people who had gone missing on this road over the last 50 years. They stood in a silent circle around the car, their mouths moving in a synchronized, eerie prayer. The mechanic in the back seat leaned forward, his icy breath hitting the back of Elias's neck. Elias felt a phantom hand grip his shoulder, a grip so cold it felt like it was freezing his very blood. He screamed, closing his eyes as tightly as he could, just praying for the sun to rise. When he finally dared to open them, the sun was indeed peeking through the trees. The forest was quiet. The car started on the very first try. Elias didn't look back. He just drove and drove until he reached the nearest town. When he finally got out at a gas station, shaking, he walked around to the back of his car. There, on the dusty trunk, were dozens of handprints not on the surface, but burned deep into the metal, and hanging from his rear bumper was a rusted, ancient wrench, still dripping with fresh, wet earth. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from the dark. Stay safe out there